Now, something I bet you would never have heard back in the day. I want to be an influencer when I grow up. Well, now it is a thing. With a good social media profile behind you, particularly on Instagram, there is money to be made from quite simply influencing people. I mean, Marks and Spencers are really getting into it. They announced yesterday that they're looking to use Instagram influencers to promote their clothing range. So we thought we would find out a little bit more about this. Here to tell us how it all works, social media expert Finn Wycherly. Good morning to you, Finn.
Good morning.
Good morning, Scottish vlogger and influencer Genevieve. Good morning, Jamie.
Hi, Kaye.
Hi, my daughter's very excited that I'm talking to you. And now that I've even said that, she's going to be so embarrassed. And when I get home, she's going to kill me.
Brilliant.
So let's hope that she's not listening. Also with us is Louise Dillon from Armadillo Social, who gives talks to parents and kids about the effects of social media, because that is the other aspect of this that we need to consider when you're influencing people. So hi to you, Louise.
Hi.
Hi. So, Finn, just give us the basic definition of an influencer. How does this work?
So basically, the idea for an influencer is somebody that the brands want to work with because they've been able to amass an audience around them that is specific to their passion. So if you're mad about cleaning, for example, like Mrs. Hinchholm, you can have an audience of 1.2 million, and all the cleaning products are desperate to bang on your door. If you're a fashion blogger or Instagrammer or gym blogger, then you're also going to be able to attract the big brands. But it's not just about having a kind of big audience, it's also the niche audiences that make a big difference. So if you happen to be passionate about talking about being a single mother of four who likes to go on holidays, and then you've got a whole passionate community around you, then obviously the holiday companies want to have a chat with you as well and be able to throw products and services and even money at you.
So what is the commercial arrangement here then?
So it depends on how big the audience is or how engaged the audience is. But in the initial stages, it's often products and services. So if you're a holiday blogger, travel blogger, you'll often be invited on a lot of trips to wherever your specific niche travel influence is. You might be somebody who's all about the trains, and therefore the train companies will be bringing you on all kinds of train journeys and getting you to review them and speak about them to your audience. And so it's a mutually beneficial relationship all around.
Is this what we used to call advertising, Finn?
Yeah, it pretty much is. I mean, if you want to put the equivalent of, I want to sell a perfume, I want to put it in Marie Claire because Marie Claire has actually established a big audience. Then we're going to pay Marie Claire to make sure our perfume is put in front of that specific audience. It's basically the same formula.
Yeah. And Marks and Spencer's, their announcement that they're going to use Instagram influencers. So how's that going to work?
So basically, the Instagram influencers are going to be specializing in, I would imagine for them, it's going to be fashion. So therefore, they're going to be working with specific demographics. So you might find a fashion blogger who's mad for fashion over 40s or children's fashion. And so they'll be inviting them in to sample all their wares, try on all their stuff, go to fashion launches with them, and obviously send them a lot of products and services as well, and make sure that they have the best possible review happening. And then the actual influencer will be able to critique it in their best way and make sure that their audience is really engaged with it. And generally speaking, it will lift a lot of product, because the reason for that is because the Instagram influencer or the blogger has established such a strong level of authority and a relationship with her or his community that when they recommend something like a particular cleaning product or a particular brand, then it tends to walk off the shelves really easily.
Jamie, how did you become an influencer?
So I was a makeup artist for a long time, and people, when you're a makeup artist, it's almost like a similar thing, but in your real life, like face-to-face life, I would be using products that people would really love, and then I would tell them what it was and they would go and get it. It's exactly the same thing, but now it's online. So my following started growing because people started to like the photos I was putting out. So it was different makeup looks, and then whenever we would travel, I would put photos up of that, and people wanted to know where we were and where we were staying and things like that. But honestly, I just think it's the exact same thing as when I was a makeup artist, because I was just so excited about makeup and beauty that when I had a product that I thought worked brilliantly, I would use it on people and explain why I loved it so much. And it was just like a YouTube video, but in real life. So it just kind of carried on naturally from that.
But so when did the hobby become the job?
It was 2 years. No, was it 1 year ago? I think it was 1 year ago. Just August past. I remember I was invited overseas. I was invited out to LA, and I wasn't going to be able to go because I had clients booked in. So I made the decision to say to my clients that I was going to be leaving. Everyone was really, really nice about it. Everyone was excited for me. A few people knew it was coming. They were wondering when I was going to be leaving to pursue this career full time. And then since then, I've not really looked back. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it full time, but it's snowballed nicely, and now I'm really busy with it, which is great.
So various companies will send you products and say, Jamie, you're going to feature this, you're going to feature this, and you make a decision of what to feature, or do you get into sort of commercial relationship and you sort of say, okay, basically I'll advertise your products? I mean, how does it work?
So I get a lot of PR sent. So every day I'll get packages with new makeup launches, and usually there'll be like instructions on how to use it or a press release for me to read through. And then I am really lucky that most of my sponsorships, which is paid work, is from brands that have seen that I love the product, and then they have gone ahead to choose to do some paid content as well. So it's actually a really nice kind of collaboration, I suppose, between me and brands that I love.
So, what about if a brand got in touch with you and sent you their products to try, and they were offering you a good deal of money, but you thought it was rubbish?
That's happened loads, and I say no. I say no to those because I think the most important thing about me in this job, and I suppose this influence, is to be honest. And I would hate for anyone to be going and purchasing things that I didn't honestly love, because that just defeats the whole purpose.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear, but Finn, call me an old cynic. Go on, call me an old cynic. Is everyone going to be? Thank you. Is everyone going to be? I wonder if I could do a niche on being an old cynic. Probably not. There are going to be people who are not quite as scrupulous as Jamie here. And the thing about advertising, I guess, we've all got a bit cute about advertising. We know we're being sold something through the traditional kind of channels, whether it's on television, billboards, or whatever. And, we're sophisticated enough to think, oh, yeah, well, they would say that, wouldn't they? I'm being sold that. They want me to buy it. But once you get into this world, it's much less obvious than that, and you've already engaged with somebody, you've built up a trust, you think, I really like Jamie, she's really nice, she's fun, she's great, oh, I'm looking forward to Jamie's post. So you're much more susceptible, aren't you, to anything that, sorry to put you up for this, Jamie, that anyone that you're following puts out there.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's why the influencer community is so powerful for the brands, because you've actually established some kind of emotional connection with that person, because you're following her or him when they're walking their dog or going out for a drink or having birthday celebrations or feeling miserable about the world. You've built up some kind of emotional connection with that person, which, as you rightly say, makes you much more susceptible to whatever their recommendations are. But let's be clear, when it comes to making those recommendations, Instagram always insists that if there's any kind of commercial interaction that's ever happened, you have to specify that it is a sponsored post, that you are being paid to actually talk about this particular product. And that's been going on since YouTube and everything as well.
Is that very visible then? So you're absolutely going to know that there's a deal here?
No, yeah, definitely. And if the person is going to be unscrupulous and actually do it without mentioning it, well, the brands would never work with them. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They need to know that their brand is being protected and looked after professionally by somebody who understands what is required if they're going to review. And in terms of giving bad reviews, there are plenty of bad reviews out there that have been given by influencers. However, a lot of them prefer to say, okay, I didn't particularly enjoy this product, and I'm going to err on the side of, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I'd prefer not to review that, because I don't want to lie to my audience. It's very, very essential for the influencer to keep that authenticity and connection real with their audience. Otherwise, people are going to smell the money. It's not going to work so well. Yeah.
Yeah, just to bring in Louise and that. I mean, Louise, you run a social media agency as well, but you do a lot of sort of speaking to parents and kids about how to navigate this new territory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing with social media is the concepts of it aren't anything new. We've always used influencers to market products to young people or people in general, and whether that's Michael Jackson selling Pepsi or any of that. So the concept of that isn't anything new. But I think the thing with social media is that, one, teenagers are spending an awful lot of time on it. So, there was a study recently that said, 45% of teenagers say that they're using social media almost constantly throughout their day. Three-quarters of teenagers on Instagram. And I think that is what's having a massive different to the days when we just used to see an ad in a magazine, because they're being bombarded with these images. And I think it can give young people unrealistic expectations of what their life is supposed to look like. So their life is seen to be very curated and very beautiful and very product-based a lot of the time. And I think that's the thing that it's not Instagram itself that can be damaging, but it's what they're exposing themselves to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the collective weight of it. I mean, you can get all these individual influencers who can be very scrupulous, like you're saying, Jamie, that you kind of set out your own sort of rules and values, if you like, and you're saying, Finn, that that's what the social media platforms want. But the collective weight for particularly young people who are just, as Louise says, spending so much time in it, is that they are seeing this highly, highly selective world, and the influence of that as a totality is potentially harmful. I mean, Jamie, what age are you, Jamie? Do you mind me asking?
I'm 25.
25. So, I mean,
Yeah.
do you have any concerns about that, or do you just think, God, this is great. I never thought I'd be doing this. It's blooming marvellous.
I totally have thoughts on it. I watched a really interesting video on Facebook the other day, and I think it was called something like A Message to Influencers, and it was really brilliant. It basically was saying, when people come to your page or watch your stuff, do they leave feeling better or worse? Because you're so right, there is definitely a kind of curated lifestyle around Instagram and YouTube, but I think me and my fiance Jack, we work together and we make a decision to show not the curated life. Like, we do our weekly vlogs and we show, like, we're at home loads just now, so we're just kicking about. In Glasgow, we're going to Costco, we're going to the cinema, we are working. It's just, there are certain parts of this lifestyle that of course are amazing, but we are still completely normal people, and mostly the people that are influencers do have that normal side to them as well, of course, because it changes your life, but you're the same person at the end of the day. So we do the exact same things as when I was a makeup artist, and when things go wrong or things aren't as great, we still share that with people just to show, not just to show that we have struggles as well, but just because that's what's real, isn't it?
So you do feel a responsibility?
Yeah, totally. I would never want anyone to come to me or my page and leave feeling like that I don't know, that maybe that what they're doing is not good enough, or like, it shouldn't be about that at all. I think it's much more of a kind of, I feel like I've got a bit of an online family, to be honest. People know loads about me, loads of the great stuff that I've been up to, but also loads of the silly stuff that we get up to as well, and just like the problems we've had. And I think that working through them and being, trying to stay positive even though things that don't go right all the time is really important.
Well, I mean, and I guess the other thing that doesn't often get out there, and Jamie, you'll know all about it, and Finn, you too. I mean, the people who do get up to the level that you need to, and how many followers have you got, Jamie?
On Instagram, I think it's just over 1.1 million, and then YouTube's about 720,000, I think.
Yeah, which is way up there. I mean, Finn, it's hard work getting to that level, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't happen by accident either. I mean, you can stumble into a couple of good posts that might do particularly well, but in order to get to those numbers, there's got to be a specific plan in place where you've done the research, you understand how the other influencers have actually managed to scale their opportunities, and yeah, it's a full-time job basically.
Yeah, harder work than the makeup counter, Jamie.
It's different. It's very different.
So Louise, just finally, how can you help people navigate this new territory? And it's not just actually, it's just not about young people, because you might think, well, perhaps they're more naive, but in some ways they're much more technically savvy. Their parents are perhaps more vulnerable than they are.
Absolutely, and I spend a lot of time talking to parents about how really it's their responsibility to know how this stuff works. The age that you're allowed on Instagram is 13, but I have a son who's 9, and about half of his class have an Instagram account. And it's sort of, parents don't let their children out of the house to go to the shops, but they're happy for them to be on Instagram unsupervised. And I think it's about talking to your children and having conversations about what they're seeing what they're looking at, and being aware of actually are these images being a realistic portrayal of someone's life? What are they telling about me? And also making sure that everyone has a kind of balanced Instagram feed, so it's not just beautiful photo after beautiful photo. There's some great Instagram influencers, some people like Iskra Lawrence, who have campaigns with underwear companies about unretouched photos and really body positive images. There's a great hashtag called Boyfriends of Instagram, which which show photos of poor boyfriends who are having to get themselves into all sorts of precarious positions to take Instagram shots for people. So it's about having balance, and it's about having those conversations which are going to give people the resilience and self-esteem to not be affected by these things. Because actually Instagram isn't a problem. It's teenagers who may have poor mental health anyway, may have poor self-esteem anyway, who are going to be adversely affected by this. So actually, if you can look after yourself and you can look after your self-esteem, these things aren't really going to be as much of a problem as people fear they are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any sense that we're going to put the genie back in the bottle, but
No, absolutely
equipping
not.
people to try and see it for what it is surely going to be a good thing. Well, listen, thank you very much, Louise Dillon and Finn Wycherly, and Jamie. I believe you are debuting on the new BBC Scotland channel soon.
Yes, I am. I'm very excited and a little bit nervous.
No need, I'm sure. I think February at 9 o'clock, and we're going to see just a little bit more about what your life entails and what it means to be an influencer. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Good. What do your older generation family think of your new life?
Do you know, I think they find it really interesting, but I'm happy to say that I think they're really proud of me, which is great. I feel very supported.
That's good. All right. Well, Jamie, thank you very much indeed. We're getting on to feet soon.